Today's lesson is about multiplying or dividing by 10, 100, or 1000. Let's start with multiplying. When we multiply a number by 10, 100, or 1000, the answer is 10 times, 100 times, or 1000 times bigger. That's why to obtain a bigger number, we need to move the decimal point to the right. When we multiply a decimal number by 10, we move the decimal point 1 time to the right. By 100, we move the decimal point 2 times to the right. And multiplying by 1000 means moving the decimal point 3 times to the right. To understand the concept more, let's solve these examples. Let's start with the first one, 235 times 10. Usually, when you have a whole number, we copy this whole number and we add 1 0 to the right. We can do it like this. Or if you want to use this method here, we notice that in any whole number the decimal part is 0, so we add 0.0. Then we move the decimal point 1 time to the right. The decimal point will be here after the 0 here, and the answer will be 2350. So it's useless to write 2350 point something because the decimal part is 0, so we just write the number. 23.5 times 10. So the decimal point, we move it 1 time to the right. It will be after the 5. The answer is 235 point, it's 0.0, so it's a whole number. 2.35 times 10. Here also the decimal point, we move it 1 time to the right. The decimal point now will be between 3 and 5, and the answer is 23.5. 23.5 times 100. When I multiply a number by 100, I need to move the decimal point 2 times to the right. Here I only have 1 digit in the decimal part. I can add a useless 0, and then I move the decimal point twice to the right. 1, I jump 1, I jump a second time. So the decimal point will be after the 0. And the answer is also a whole number, 2350. 23.5 times 1000. Same steps as we did before, but here we need to move the decimal point 3 times to the right. Here I only have 1 digit in the decimal part, so I need to add 2 useless zeros in order to be able to jump 3 times to the right. So now let's jump 1, 2, 3. The decimal point will be after the second 0. And the answer is, I write the digits, and then I can 1, 2, 3, 23,500. So here we need to be careful. We don't add 3 zeros, same number of zeros as 1000. No. We need to jump 3 times to the right, so we only add zeros as much as needed in order to be able to jump 3 times to the right. Now 0.8 times 100. So we need to move the decimal point 2 times to the right. I only have 1 digit. I add a useless 0. I jump 2 times. And now the answer is 0.80. It means it's 80. Because the 0 is useless. It's also a whole number. So multiplying by 10, 100, and 1000 is moving the decimal point to the right. Now let's continue. Dividing a decimal number by 10, 100, or 1000 means that the number will be 10 times smaller, 100 times smaller, or 1000 times smaller. And to obtain a smaller number, we need to move the decimal point to the left. Now let's start with these examples to understand the concept better. 235 divided by 10. So the decimal point in any whole number is after the ones digit. And when we divide by 10, we need to move the decimal point 1 time to the left. So this decimal point, we jump 1 time to the left. it will be between 3 and 5, and the answer is 23.5. 23.5 divided by 10. Here the decimal point is already placed, but be careful when you have a whole number, the decimal point is just after the ones digit. Now we need to move the decimal point one time to the left, and the answer is 2.35. 2.35 divided by 10. Also, we need to move the decimal point one time to the left. So this decimal point, we jump one time to the left. It's 0.235. But we don't have a number written like this, 0.235. If the whole part is empty, we put a 0. It's 0.235. 23.5 divided by 100. So here, when I divide by 100, I need to move the decimal point 2 times to the left. I move one time, a second time, 0.235. The whole part is empty, I put a 0. 23.5 divided by 1000. Here, when I divide a decimal number by 1000, I need to move the decimal point 3 times to the left. Here, I only have 2 digits. In order to be able to move it 3 times, I need to add a useless 0. Now I can move it 3 times. I jump once, twice, then a third time, and the decimal point will be before the 0, 0.0235, and same as above, if the whole part is empty, I put a 0. 0.8 divided by 100. Also here we need to jump 2 times to the left. I don't have enough digits, I need to add a useless 0. Now I can jump once, twice, and the decimal point will be before the second 0. And the answer is 0.008. Since the whole part is empty, I put a 0. It's 0.008. As a conclusion, when we multiply, we obtain a greater number, and to have a greater number, we need to move the decimal point to the right. When we divide, we obtain a smaller number, and to obtain a smaller number, we need to move the decimal point to the left. And we moving means jumping, so we are jumping in fact. So I don't count 1, 2, 3, it's wrong. I jump once, twice, as many as needed. And of course we can add useless zeros as much as needed. And here, if you notice, these zeros are in fact not useless in the answer. These zeros will be necessary zeros. And in both cases, in multiplying or dividing, we need to move the decimal point. We need to jump either once if we are multiplying or dividing by 10, twice if we are dividing or multiplying by 100, and we jump 3 times if we are multiplying or dividing by 1000, either jumping to the left or to the right.